After having done data analysis using graphs, the next set of analysis of the data that we can do consists of generating what we call statistics. Statistics, in general, are numbers that helps us summarize the data at hand. Obviously, the first type of statistic that we're interested in is some kind of measure of central tendency. A measure of central tendency are values where a lot of the data points tend to cluster towards. So for example, in the sample of 30 males that we have collected, by looking at the histogram, what we can see is there is a central tendency for many of the males to have heights in the neighborhood of 175 and 180 centimeters. So chances are some kind of central tendency measure will be a value in the neighborhood of 175 and 180. So in this section we're going to discuss about 3 common ways of measuring central tendencies. The first measure of central tendency, and the most popular one, is what we call the mean, or it's usually what people mean when they talk about an average. So in our sample of 30 males, the sample size usually in statistics is denoted by n. The sample mean is denoted by x bar, and it is the sum of all the heights in our sample divided by the size of the sample. In our data points, if we add up all 30 heights, so 178.8 centimeters, all the way up to the last person in our sample, whose height is 180.4, as such, and divided by 30 people, we end up getting the following mean. So the mean is, once you calculate this, is 177.07 centimeters. Now, in statistics, it's important to distinguish between a sample mean versus a population mean. A sample mean, as the name implies, is simply the average of all the units or all the males in your particular sample. A population mean, in our case, the population under study was the city of London, and the population mean will be the average height of all the males residing in London. Now, again, in statistics, we reserve the Greek letter mu to denote the average or the mean of all heights of the people in the population of interest. And the population size is denoted usually by capital N. In our case, capital N will be all males residing in the city of London. Obviously, this is a value that nobody really knows unless we were able to sample every single males in the city of London. Another common measure of central tendency is what we call the median. And the median is simply the middle point in your data set. In our case, in order to find the median, well, we have 30 data points. We would need to order our data from smallest to largest and select the measurement or the data point that lies right in the middle of 30 observations. Because we have an even number of data points in our sample, we're not going to have one particular middle value, but we're going to have 2 middle values. Whenever you have an even number of data points, the median would simply be the average or the mean of the 2 middle points. So in our case, the 15th data point and the 16th data point are the 2 middle values if we were to order our heights from smallest to greatest and divide that by 2. And that median value ends up being 176.5. So this is when n is even. When n is odd, you simply select the median, simply is the middle data point. And finally, the third measure of central tendency is what we call the mode. And the mode is also the measure of central tendency that is not often used. It is simply defined as the value or the data point that occurs the most frequently in your data set. So now that we have two numerical summaries, namely the mean, which was 177.07, and the median of 176.5, our initial feel was correct, that the measure of central tendency, or there's a clustering of heights in the neighborhood of 175 to 180. In fact, the mean of 177.07 is in that interval, or in that bin, as well as the median, which is 176.5 centimeters. Okay. So for a lot of data sets that are given, we're usually interested in the averages. Okay. If you're a visitor to the United Kingdoms, and it's the first time that you have been there, maybe you're interested in, well, what is the average height of British citizens residing in the City of London? Okay. So these measures of central tendencies are statistics they're called statistics because they're calculated from the data points that were sampled.